Thanks for joining us. This is On Deck with DeRo and Arch. For a variety of reasons, the two of us haven't been at the same time, same place over the last couple of weeks. So it's good to be back on air with you this week.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Had some basketball commitments with my high school coaching job, and then I got the creepy crud last week and battled some respiratory issues. But I'm back on the mend, I think, and glad to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Good to have you. We're going to jump right in to some national sports news. Going to start with some NFL Super Bowl this Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles in what could be a really good game. Contrast in styles a little bit. Kansas City's Mahomes, and on the surface, you think of them as a passing team and those kinds of things. They are a bit of a ball control team more than they have been in the past. Philadelphia is old school. They've got a feature running back, and they just line up and they just hand it to him, and they just push ahead and let him run. So definitely a contrast of styles a little bit. Give me your thoughts on the upcoming Super Bowl.
I think it should be a great game. Obviously, to get to this point in the season, you've had a good year, and you're playing right at the right time. And you take a look at Philadelphia's win in the championship, in the NFC championship, and boy, they looked awfully good. Obviously, with Saquon Barkley in the backfield, he's been running all over the place this year, and it's going to come down to Kansas City's defense, and Kansas City's kind of hung their hat on the defense this year and last year, but probably more so this year with some of the offensive struggles. I
Right.
know most teams would love to have a season that Patrick Mahomes and that offense did, but in Kansas City, I guess standards, it's been a it's been a subpar year, but ought to be an awfully good Super Bowl.
Yeah. And coming off the Bills game, it's kind of been an ongoing theme, not just this year, but for a couple of years now about, how the Chiefs sort of get the benefit of at least, I started to say every call, but maybe timely calls, significant calls within a game. And so, I've been reading and listening to a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think here's where I'm going with that. Probably the Bills, in my opinion, they probably needed to be 10 points better in that game in order to win by about 3. And hey, that's not scientific, but I think to overcome a variety of things, the Bills needed to be about 10 points better. And the game was just an even game. And most of those Bills Chiefs games are that way. It come down to a one-score game, field goal game, and so yes, did the Chiefs did they come out on the right end of a couple of calls? For sure. Were they right or wrong? That's not what I'm here to argue. So I'm kind of taking that a step further, and I'm going to let you jump in here. You and I have both coached a lot. We've had the chance to coach some pretty good teams along the way, and we've coached our fair share of bad ones through the years. And if you do it long enough, you're going to have both. And it kind of seems to me that some of my better teams, some of your better teams, we did always seem to come out on the right side of some of those calls. And when your teams weren't as good and you struggled to come by wins, it always seemed like those things kind of went against you. And so, with that being said, the Chiefs, they have established themselves as a winning team and a winning culture, and so they're coming out on the right side of a lot of those calls. So I've thrown a lot out there. I'm just going to let you dive in and give me a little feedback.
No, I think you're right. Great teams make their own breaks. And that seems to be the difference between good teams and great teams, regardless of what level we're talking about, from the high school level all the way up to the professional level. And those great teams always make their own breaks. They don't necessarily get breaks, but they make their own breaks. And I think that Kansas City has been winning for so long now. They are the hunter, and nobody likes the hunter. In the past, they were kind of everybody's darlings because I don't want to say Kansas City Chiefs had been dormant for so long, but at the Super Bowl level, they were the team that just couldn't get over that hump, and AFC Championship games to get into the Super Bowl. Now that they've done it and are winning and winning consistently, I mean, you take a look at it; they've been to the last 7 AFC Championship games, I believe.
Yeah.
And they have a chance to three-peat. So everybody's kind of taking that, the casual observers taking that Kansas City Chief bandwagon hat off, and probably going to be a lot of Philadelphia Eagles bandwagon fans, jump on board. But I think there's a lot of talk about nothing, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like the crew, the officials crew, goes out there and says, we're gonna make sure that X team wins, or that X or Y team loses. It's not like that. And here again, I just think that nobody likes the hunter, and right now the Chiefs are the hunter.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because as the Chiefs were coming into new prominence, the Patriots were the hunted. And so they had that label, right? Tom Brady gets all the calls. It's New England. They're going to get every break. And even if we're just being honest, even Chiefs fans felt that way about the Patriots. So, I think you're right. I think, once you earn that spot of prestige, then people are looking to take shots at you, and they'll use any angle that they can to get to you. So it should be a great game. Looking forward to it. I am anxious to see if the Eagles can run it on the Chiefs, just the way they've appeared to run it over everybody else. Spagnuolo, I'm sure he will have a lot to say about that. But Philadelphia, they hang their hat on just lining up and just pushing you back and handing the ball off. So it will be interesting.
Yeah, I read where Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense play man coverage the 5th most in the NFL, and that's going to allow Kansas City to stack that box and dare them to run inside or even outside the tackles, and it'll be a chess match to be sure.
For sure. And I would think it's a fair statement to say, hey, at some point, I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to make a play or two. I mean, just to soften that up and to keep the Chiefs from really closing in. So it'll be interesting. He can do that a couple of ways. He can do it with his legs, or he can throw it. So he's a load to contend with back there. So I'm going to switch professional sports on us a little bit, and going to talk a little NBA, a little National Basketball Association. Initially, my talking point was going to be, it appears that the viewing numbers are down. Interest in general concerning the NBA is down. And so I was going to start sort of throwing that your way. And then lo and behold, about 2 days ago, there was a trade in the NBA that may have been the biggest trade in 20 years or so. And now all of a sudden the NBA is all over the news. So I'm going to rewind just a little bit. Is the NBA a little bit of a product that's losing interest?
I think so. And I think viewership's down quite a bit. To the point where the commissioner's talking about shortening games. The players' union's fighting back on that, because what does that do to all the records? When you're playing a lot less time throughout the course of a game, it takes away those opportunities to break some of those records, and which I get both sides. It's almost like the game of baseball, if you think about it. to where they put the pitch clock in,
Right.
and can't step outside the batter's box, and only two throwovers, to first base or whatever base have you. I think I don't think that's their problem. I don't think the length of the game is the problem. I think it's the product that's being put out on the floor, and I also think that the length of the season is awfully, awfully long, and it's almost a crapshoot. If you buy a ticket, are you going to go be able to watch that superstar play that particular night
Yeah.
and spend a lot of money? By the time you get popcorn and some drinks and a couple hot dogs and take a family of four to watch LeBron James play, and he's nursing an ingrown toenail on the sideline, that really hurts. And it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward with this. I agree something needs to be done, but I'm not real sure what the answer is. I will be honest, I'm a basketball purist. I've loved the game ever since I was knee high to a grasshopper. And I'm probably going to tick a lot of people off saying this, but to me, it's not pure basketball. It's a lot of one-on-one. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I don't spend a whole lot of time watching the NBA. I love watching college basketball, but I also see college basketball trying to edge that way as well. So
yeah, I kind of to your point, the shortened games. I understand what he's trying to do there. It also squeezes maybe the players that I really enjoy the most in the NBA aren't necessarily your superstars. It's the guys that maybe I watched in college or sort of, just sort of grew to respect them a little bit. And hey, maybe they're the seventh, eighth, ninth man on the NBA roster, and they're getting 14 to 16 minutes a game, right? And I enjoy watching those guys. Well, now all of a sudden, 10-minute quarters, 40-minute games, the rotation shrinks, right?
right.
Number of players that you're going to play, and all those rotations. And so some of those guys that you sort of kind of like to watch and keep up with now may get squeezed out. And so, and your developmental, your the NBA developmental league and all that, like, hey, does that become as necessary now? And I mean, I think there's a lot of questions there that would be hard pressed to answer when it comes to shortening the games. I think there's a lot of residual effects that would take place there.
Where I really lost interest in the NBA was when the players started dictating which teams they would play for and start building these super groups and playing that way. And it eliminated probably close to 50-60% of your mid-major or mid-market teams that didn't have the money to go out and spend. And so you're watching the same 4, 5, 6 different teams be a viable factor for the championship every year. And I grew up an Indiana Pacers fan.
Yes.
And they've had some great teams in the past, Reggie Miller, and back when they were battling the Knicks and all that, and that's gone. You know what I'm saying? So I think, to me personally, and I'm speaking on behalf of DeRo and Arch, nobody else, that's kind of where I lost interest, was when the players started dictating what teams they were going to and who was coming with them.
Yeah. And yes, and there was a lot of intrigue about, I'm going to use your Pacers as an example. I mean, to the Pacers versus the Knicks, right? This sort of small market team that would go to Madison Square Garden and play in these huge games with the Knicks. And so it just seems that like that's not there much anymore. I do think Oklahoma City sort of was that for a while early on. And they've remained competitive through the years and got a good group now. But I think that's the exception for sure, by and large, right now. And even like San Antonio and teams like that, they had some rich tradition, uh, just because of the continuity they had, the system they had, and they weren't bringing in and out new players all the time, right? It was a
Right.
nucleus of players, and so yeah, a lot of that's gone. In essence, I think lately we've watched, and hey, taking nothing from these guys, but we watch LeBron James every year in whatever uniform he's wearing. We watch Kevin Durant, right, in whatever uniform he's wearing. Chris Paul. I mean, the names go on and on, but they're going to play for about 4 or 5, 6 different teams,
Yep.
and we're going to watch the same teams every year with those superstars sort of trading places. So, yeah, I agree. That part is a definite disappointment to me, or a drop off, and it would explain my own lack of interest at times in the
Yeah.
NBA, if I'm just being honest. So, great points there. I'm going to take us to break in just a couple of minutes here. I do want to feature an interview that we have coming up in the next segment. I'm going to be talking with Coach Bill Walker from the University of Missouri S&T. He is the men's coach there, and his kids and his team is playing really, really well. Last I heard, ranked 5th, I think, in Division II men's basketball. I actually saw a picture of their gym at their game last Thursday, and there were people everywhere in that gym. I mean, they had a big community night. Students were there in full force, and so good things are going on there at University of Missouri S&T. And so I had a chance to sit down with Coach Walker, and he's got a great path, and been a lot of places, done a lot of good things. And so stay tuned for the interview with him. That will be our You Are Strong by Angie Wiley featured interview of the week. So after the break, we'll come to you with Coach Walker from Missouri S&T. So until then, just stay with us here after these commercial breaks, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'll have the avocado toast minus the avocado.
So, toast.
Yeah. Everything is so expensive these days. Hey, Chevy gets it. That's why they're keeping prices down to earth, like on the most affordable EV in America. A super strong and capable Chevy truck. And a high-tech Chevy SUV. Why is Chevy making affordable vehicles connected by OnStar? It's so together we can do more.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go, creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
And welcome back to the second segment of On Deck with DeRo and Arch. If you missed our first segment, please go back and check it out. We talked a little national sports there early on. In our third segment, after our interview here, we will dive into area colleges, Missouri colleges, both junior college and Division II and Division I, and NAIA, and sort of give you the rundown of the week and highlight some key matchups. But first, we are privileged to have Coach Bill Walker from Missouri S&T joining us. He is the men's basketball coach there. Coach Walker, thanks for being with us today.
Eric, I'm thrilled to be here. I appreciate you having me.
You bet. You bet. Before we dive into your team and your program and some things like that, why don't you just give us a little bio of Coach Walker, basketball wise? Tell us a little bit about your path and bring our listeners up to speed.
Well, I grew up in Warrensburg. My dad was the athletic director at Central Missouri State before it's UCM, and I was the AD's kid. I did everything. I went to the track meets and the wrestling meets and football, basketball, baseball. I went to everything, but basketball kind of emerged as my favorite sport, and I played it through high school. And my 3 years of varsity, I didn't play much as a sophomore, but in our 3 years, we were 75-6 and got beat in the state championship game my senior year. Charleston beat us in what I think was their first state championship. But I had a great group of guys to play with there. I went on and played at UMR. You and I still call it UMR, but now Missouri S&T. And I got to play for legendary coach Billy Key, who was just a wonderful guy to play for and to learn from. So, but I wanted to be a coach, and I started working UAB basketball camps at Lexington, at Wentworth Military Academy. Coach Bartow used to have those there, and I went to him, and he hired me, and I was lucky enough to catch on at UAB as a graduate assistant for 2 years, and kind of got my foot in the door coaching. And I'll try to go over the next 30 years quickly so I don't bore your listeners. But started out at UMSL. That was my first full-time job after UAB. Kind of bounced around, ended up at Central Missouri, and then I was at the University of Minnesota. One of my very good friends, Dan Munson, who started the Gonzaga run with Mark Few, and he got the Minnesota job, and I was lucky enough to go with him. Then I was there for 8 years, and then went to Texas A&M. Drake, I actually scouted in the NBA for a couple of years, and kind of started getting older, and my son was a pretty good player, and I decided, I need to try to be a head coach. So I was at UIS in Springfield, Illinois before I came here, and this is my 6th year at Rolla, which again is my alma mater, and that was a speedy update of my long coaching career.
Well, it sounds like a lot of stops, but in coaching, and hey, I don't have the path or the pedigree that you have, but it always seems that the previous stop was the platform for the next stop. It just seems like it always works that way. So, me personally, right. I'm always intrigued to hear the coach's path. So,
well, you never know, and I feel like. I turned 60 this year, so I don't feel old, but I guess I have accumulated something. Is you never know whether it's a graduate assistant you met when you were the same age, or a high school coach you met, or whatever. You never know who's going to be a guy that's going to help you get a recruit or get in on a job, or you should do your best to keep track of your network and try to be a good guy for people. And it's the right thing to do, but it also may help you in your career. You never know.
For sure. Coaching fraternity, it's right. A powerful thing, and it's real, right? I mean, Absolutely. Those relationships just go back years and years. So thanks for the update on you personally. I'm going to dive in a little bit to your team in general. We'll talk specifics about your group here in a little bit, but for our viewers that don't know, you guys are nationally ranked, I believe, number 9 in the last polls, 16-1 overall, 10-0 in the GLVC, and 10-0 at home. I actually went back. I stopped, I think, at 10 years. And you may know this better than I do. I believe that you may have more wins right now at this point in the season than Missouri S&T's had in the last 10 years total each year. So kudos to you and the job that you're doing there. And if I have those numbers wrong, I'm sure somebody will fill me in. But great work. 16-1, something to be proud of for sure.
There was a long dry spell here, and even though I was, as we talked about a minute ago, I was moving around the country. This is my AD, or this is my alma mater, and you only have one alma mater, and this is mine. So I kept track of how they were doing, and it was Dale Martin had some very good teams in the 80s and early and mid 90s. But then before I took over, there was a quarter century straight of losing here, and it hurts you when you're an alum. So what we tried to do was lean into what this school's good at academically, but also the guys that can play basketball. And so we went back, and instead of getting a lot of transfers, even though we do have some and we value them, we're mostly a high school, developing players type program. And that's not a quick fix. That's something you hope you do a good job of evaluating, and knock on wood, we have. And so I think, as you generally look at our team, I like to think we have good players in every class, and the depth we talked about earlier. And so, and You've coached, I've coached. I've tried it both ways. I've tried it with good players and I've tried it without good players. And I'm a lot better coach with good players, and I'm lucky to have them.
Yeah, funny how that works, and
Yeah.
and on this show, you haven't heard us probably, but we've talked about transfer portal and all those things, and we're not going to go there tonight necessarily. But you did reference something there that is a little unique today, and that is,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to bring some freshmen in and build with some 4-year kids as our base at least. And so, is that more or less difficult in recent years? What do you think there?
I think it's way, way more difficult. I think the business has probably changed more in the last 2 or 3 years than my previous 30-something in it. Having said that, we're not immune from it here. But if we can find a kid that's good at math and wants to be a computer science or an engineer major, we've got a real shot at keeping them, even if, like we've done a good job evaluating guys. They're not as likely to leave, at least so
Right.
far, because they know how valuable that Missouri S&T degree is going to be in the workplace. And I can bore you with all the Wall Street Journal stats and all the. It's a big time, nationally recognized university. Harder to find those guys sometimes. The excellent math students that want to do that are also really good in basketball. But if you do, so far, and I'm knocking on wood here, that we have a better chance of holding on to them.
Yeah. Well, truly, my guess is truly a complete student athlete. When they go to Missouri S&T to play basketball, they are truly the embodiment of student athlete.
Absolutely. And I've got, both the facts and figures I quoted from the major publications, but I've also got anecdotal guys I played with and just how many of them have been very successful and have been able to land jobs in an area and doing what they wanted to do. And that's not going to change anytime soon. And I guess this is a little bit of a recruiting pitch, but, as we tell kids, hey, you can Google it for yourself. Just pick any publication, pick any ranking, pick any metric you want, or income after graduation, placement into master's programs, research, anything you want to do, we're gonna like what the outcomes are. So if it's something that you're interested in, this is a good spot, for both basketball and athletics and academics.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit to your team and your play. I noticed you played Tulsa and SIU in exhibition early in the year. Both Division I foes, not uncommon for Division II to play Division I in exhibition and so on. A little bit of a loaded question, but did you know when you played Tulsa and SIU? Did you know that you sort of had the pieces that would sort of translate to maybe this kind of success?
It was a good forebearer. The Tulsa game, I don't know if your listeners know, we had the ball up 3 with 5 seconds to go and lost in overtime. You talk about bad coaching. We underthrew. We were going to try to throw it long. Both teams were out of timeouts. We kind of underthrew it. They stole it, took one dribble inside a half court and banked a 3 and to send it to overtime. And then we lost. We had a chance in overtime also, but we appreciate them playing us. And I know I've been on that bench when I was at some Division I schools, and you just know you can't lose that game. So, but we gave that one away. But you talk about, did I know? I said, we're pretty good if we're going into a place like that on the road and having a chance to win. And then we played SIU a week later. We played them on a Friday night in Carbondale, and our season opened Sunday at noon in Terre Haute, Indiana. So I didn't play anybody more than 20 minutes. I played 1 through 16, all got double figure minutes in that game, and it was pretty competitive. So those 2 games together, but you never know. It's like pulling back on the stick of a newly built jet airplane. You think it's going to fly, but you never know until you get in there. But those were good early season tests that we kind of passed.
For sure. Yeah, I would say they were. Lately, you've been on the road in the conference. For those of you that don't know, Missouri S&T is in the GOVC, which is the Great Lakes Valley Conference. In my opinion, MIAA and GOVC are as good of Division II conferences as there are in the nation, and I really speak for all sports there. That's not just a men's basketball thing. Just competitive Division II conferences. So my point with this is you won 3 in a row on the road in that conference. That's tough sledding, I think.
What I've done as I've gotten older, Eric, is I've tried not to go, well, we need to win most of our home games and try to get 2 out of 3 on the road, and all those formulas we had. And I understand why people have them, but I'm really trying to keep our team. Let's win the next one. The Secretariat had those blinders on for a reason. You just try to win your next one. And, did I think we'd be 16-1? I don't know, probably not. But if you'd have just picked out any game and said, can you win that one? I'd probably said, yeah, we could win. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to do some things and, be tough-minded and smart on offense and all the things that we've been doing. But it's been a nice run, and I don't take anything for granted. So we're just trying to win the next one.
Yeah. Highlighting what's coming up for you. 2 home conference games, Thursday and Saturday of this week. Looks like Lewis University and University of Indianapolis. It is nice to come home, I'm sure.
They're expecting a big crowd in here Thursday. Our students have gotten more and more involved. And, I'm, like I said earlier, I'm from Warrensburg, which is about the same size as Rolla. And, I know that you can cap people like basketball in this part of the Midwest. They, you can get the townspeople to come out, and we've started to do that along with the students. And, parking's free and tickets are cheap, and it's a pretty good way to spend an evening. And so we think there's going to be a big crowd, and the crowds have grown every year. And so that's what's gratifying to me is, all these kids that are studying and trying to position themselves for a lucrative career. Hey, you come in here, you don't have to set up a password or a username. You can just come in here and yell and, kind of have a departure for a little while. And I'm that way with basketball all over the state. I like going to watch junior colleges and high schools and watch, Mizzou and Missouri State and all of them. So it's my business, but I'm also first and foremost grew up a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Specific to your team, and hey, if I have some of these numbers wrong, feel free to correct me. But I haven't had the privilege of watching you play. I'd love to do that at some point. Looks like you got about 9 guys or so that are averaging 10+ minutes a game. Maybe 5 guys or so that's averaging 9+ points a game. That tells me that you've got some depth and you're going pretty deep on your bench and you're comfortable doing so.
Yeah, it's a long year, and we have, like I talked about, every class. We have a lot of Missouri guys that are really doing well for us. But I think our depth has really been pivotal in winning some of these games, especially on the road, especially when you play, like you referenced earlier. We played 3 games in 5 days, all on the road. You can't do it playing 5 or 6 guys, at least I don't think we can. And
Right.
we've got Andrew Young as a junior who just won Player of the Week for the 3rd time. He's a 6'9" junior out of Marquette in Chesterfield, Missouri. Excuse me, but he's got a lot of help, and we've got some Missouri kids sprinkled in with some other out-of-state kids that, my theory has always been if you don't redshirt freshmen, you should at least play them double-figure minutes. Otherwise, you're almost burning a year. And all 3 of the freshmen that I think have played every game are playing at least 10 minutes, and all the way up through our senior class, which has been terrific leadership. So hopefully it keeps up, but right now our depth and the injuries are, right around the corner for everyone. You can't control those, but we do have pretty good depth, and it's paid off so far.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're pushing all the right buttons and doing all the right things. People on the outside of the coaching window, they just don't understand just how difficult it is to sort of win and win consistently. The further you get into the season, the bigger the target becomes on your back. And so, I know having fresh bodies and guys that aren't injured and having productive practices, because if you have tired guys and injured guys, now all of a sudden your practice productivity goes way down. And so, kudos to you for sticking with those guys and building a deep bench. I think that'll pay dividends to you down the road. So,
yeah, you're right about practice. That's an underrated thing. People, and it's not just the 9 guy. We have 16 guys on the roster, and I wish they all could play. I feel bad that we only play 9 because I'd like to
Sure.
play them all, but they've I don't know whether they like it or not, but they've sacrificed it. They know it's for the team, and they give us a good look in practice. I think that's helped us keep improving.
For sure. I'm gonna sort of wind down with this, and I kind of do this often. You and I sort of prepped before we come on air a little bit. This one I didn't prep you for. I visited last week with Jeremy Esri from North Central Missouri Junior College. Hey, and they're having a great year up there.
Oh yeah,
they're undefeated, #1 Division II JUCO. So here's the question I shot him, and I'm going to shoot it to you.
Okay.
And you can't backpedal on this. You got to answer one way or the other.
Okay.
Are you an offensive coach in your heart, or are you a defensive coach in your heart?
In my heart, I'm an offensive coach.
Yeah.
But as a guy that's coached, I know the value of defense, and I have a great assistant, Michael Eisman from Archie, Missouri, that has done a great job. I kind of given him the reins to the defense, and he has a niche period of practice every day that he's done terrific. And so I kind of view myself in a little way as I kind of think like a general manager too. Always like, and it's not the same as high school because you kind of have to play the kids you're dealt, but I'm always thinking about who do we need to add? What piece would help this team next year? And you got to kind of have parallel visions. But if you're not letting me weasel out of it, I'd say I was an offensive coach.
Yeah. And you and I both know it takes both sides of the ball. So you can't cheat either side or you're not going to go very far. But that's always an interesting question for me to ask guys when I have them on the show. So, Coach, it's been great to visit with you. I'd love to come watch you guys play sometime.
Anytime.
Let me watch you guys. Yeah. And your women are playing well too. That's my understanding. Yeah. So it might be a good night just to take in 2 games and watch both programs play. So thanks for joining us. Good luck to your team the rest of the way. I probably finished conference early March. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
Yeah. So 5 weeks probably left of conference play. So, you and I both know a lot can happen in 5 weeks.
Oh yeah. I think that's if our guys have been good at a lot of things, but that's one thing they've been good at. We just got through practice and we practice all hours of the night here, just around labs and night classes and stuff. But I don't think you'd have seen tons of difference after a winning streak or whatever than you would have, 2 months ago. And that's because we have a pretty mature team that hopefully stays that way no matter what's ahead this last 5 weeks.
Well, that's awesome. Good luck to you and your guys the rest of the way. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Eric, I really appreciate you having me. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Viewers, thanks for joining us for this segment. This has been the You Are Strong by Angie Wiley interview of the week. And we have interviewed Coach Bill Walker from Missouri S&T. So with that, we will take it to break, and we'll be back right after these messages. You are watching On Deck with DeRo and Arch.
We believe banking should make your life greater. It starts with affordable options to meet today's needs and tomorrow's dreams. From smart account options that fit your style to flexible loans for what comes next. It means convenient ways to access and manage your money whenever you need it and wherever you're headed. Most of all, it takes great support. Someone you can count on for trusted guidance and to be there for you every step of the way. Great options, great convenience, great support for life. Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters.
The Walnut Street Inn is located in the heart of Springfield on historic Walnut Street, just blocks away from the Missouri State Campus, Hammons Field, Great Southern Arena, and downtown Springfield. The Walnut Street Inn features newly remodeled rooms, breakfast served daily, and a friendly, accommodating staff. The Walnut Street Inn is also a great venue for private events. Book your stay or get more information at walnutstreetinn.com or call 417-864-6346.
And welcome back. You are watching On Deck with DeRo and Arch. This is a show that we try to talk a little Missouri sports, mainly at the collegiate level. Try to feature small colleges and universities, but all colleges in Missouri, and try to tell some stories that haven't been told. And we love doing that. We just finished the previous segment with the "You Are Strong" by Angie Wiley interview of the week. I had a chance to visit with Coach Walker from Missouri S&T. So if you're just joining us, be sure and go back and catch that interview. Coach Walker was a great interview. I enjoyed talking with him both on and off the air. He has the Missouri S&T men rolling right now. They are ranked 5th nationally. They are 18-1 on the season, and they are 12-0 in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Just an incredible job there. And Darren, you and I both have. We have knowledge of UMR dating way back, and I guess I should get politically correct. It's Missouri S&T.
Yes.
but hey, you and I have been around UMR basketball for years, 30 years or more, and so to see them sort of have this kind of run, it's a really cool story.
It is, and in a very good conference.
Yes.
GLVC is no joke. You've got to strap it on and play every night, and he's just done a fantastic job there at Missouri S&T.
Yeah, I in talking with him, he's made some Division I stops. For those of you that really follow college basketball, he started his career as a graduate assistant under Gene Bartow at the University of Alabama Birmingham. And so his contacts and the people and circles that he's run in through the years, pretty credible. And I think his dad was the athletic director during his childhood at Central Missouri State University. So definitely a guy that has been around and probably is very, very smart and has learned a lot from a lot of talented guys before him. What makes the story even better to me is he's a graduate from there. He graduated, I believe he said, in 1987 from what was then known as University of Missouri-Rolla, and played there. And now, years later, he's going back to his alma mater and putting up a really good product there. So congratulations to Coach Walker and his crew there. I'm going to feature real quick one of the players he has there. There's a 6'9" kid there from played high school ball collegiately at Marquette High School in the St. Louis area. His name is Andrew Young, and he is playing really well for them. I think he was the Great Lakes Valley Player of the Week, at least recently, and maybe one time before this year. So doing really good things. He's a junior. So he'll be back next year. So just a lot of good things going on there at Missouri S&T. Going to move on. Mizzou men's basketball. Darren, I think you and I were talking at the break about Mizzou and sort of where they've been the last couple of weeks and what they've got coming up this week. Why don't you fill us in on that?
Yeah, they had really good wins this past week, and especially against Ole Miss. As we are currently speaking, Ole Miss is just flat boat racing Kentucky right now, and the SEC is gosh, it is for real, and from top to bottom. And Mizzou their stock is rising rapidly. At the beginning of the year, they ripped off some wins, and they weren't really gaining the respect that I think you and I felt like they deserved. But as they get into conference play and they start beating some of these teams like Ole Miss and everybody else that they've been able to beat, their stock keeps rising, and they are playing themselves into a pretty high seed, provided they can continue to do this in the NCAA tournament. Now, doesn't get any easier this week. On Wednesday, February 5th, they play at number 4 Tennessee. And once they're done there, they get to come back home, and on Saturday face number 10 Texas A&M. So it's right from the frying pan into the fire.
Man, and you're right. They had signature wins earlier in the year against KU and then against Florida. And then this past weekend, but now to turn around and play Tennessee and A&M, those two opponents in the stretch of 4 days, mercy. I mean, but you're right. They do belong. They have proven that. And early in the year, I think, all people, just sort of weren't quite sure. And they have proven in this SEC play that they are for real. It will be interesting to see how February goes for them and see where they might end up in the NCAA tournament picture. Excited to see that. Just shout out to Mizzou men, just for really turning the corner and playing really well in a really tough conference. So congratulations to them. We're just going to hit a few highlights here, in-state basketball news, and we're just going to go through these pretty quickly. Darren, jump in when you want. I'm going to start with one, and then I may let you come in with one. I am going to reference a team that I've referenced on the show before, and that is the North Central Missouri Junior College, 22-0 and ranked number 1 in Division II in the Division II Junior College area. So shout out to them. They're playing really well. 22-0 and rolling. So they are putting themselves in a really good position to have some success in their JUCO tournament. That tournament starts in March and finishes in Danville, Illinois. So I know they're hopeful to make it that far and get to play on the last day there in Danville. So you've told me you've been to the arena there in Danville. Is that correct?
I have been, and I wouldn't call it an arena. I'd call it a gym. But,
I was trying to help him out. So.
I'm just going to call a spade a spade.
I understand.
If that was an arena, I've played in a lot of arenas throughout my lifetime. but no, and it's a neat deal. I mean, it's basketball from morning to night for forever. And, a lot of people talk about the Division I tournament, but don't close your eyes on the Division II tournament. There's a lot of good talent, and when I was coaching at the collegiate level at Division II, we spent a lot of time at that Division II level because there's a lot of hidden talent there that often goes overlooked, and really good basketball at that level.
Absolutely. Coach Esri has done a great job there. He too, I think, attended there and sort of his coaching where he was at as a player. So really cool story. Good luck to them as they keep going. Darren, I'm going to throw it your way. I'm going to have you feature one of our in-state schools.
You bet. I'm going to feature the Webster women's basketball team. They're currently 17-2 and are once again having a very good season. Their losses have come to Westminster, which was an in-state school, and have also come earlier in the year to the University of Lynchburg out of Tennessee. So Webster women, once again, having a very good year, and I think they have the opportunity to be national players on the scheme of things in Division III.
Yeah. I'm going to follow that up with going to feature just really quick the Ozark Christian men's and women's basketball programs. If I've got this right, I think their men are undefeated, or at last check, they were undefeated at 15-0, and I think their women are 15-4, and I may have those two things reversed. But anyway,
That's right.
Both of those programs playing really, really well, doing some good things there. So maybe as we, get further into the season, maybe we'll have a chance to feature them or talk about them some more, maybe do an interview with somebody from there. So, but if you're out there, keep your eye on Ozark Christian College, men and women basketball program. They're doing good things.
You bet. They're part of the NCCAA, the National Christian College Athletic Association. And once again, we have quite a few schools throughout the state in that division. Another one, Spurgeon men. I believe at last I saw, they're ranked 8th in the nation in the NCCAA and are putting together a very good year at that level as well. Back to the Division III level, and this is no surprise, but Wash U out of St. Louis, Missouri, is currently 15-3 and ranked number 10 nationally at the NCAA Division III in the NCAA Division III national rankings.
Yep. I'm going to slip to the Division II, NCAA Division II. Kind of a broken record here, but Drury women playing really well again. I actually went back and did a little research. I went back as far as the 2013-2014 season, and Drury women have had 20 plus wins every season dating back to at least 2013, 2014.
That's incredible.
That is the model of consistency. And hey, some of those years were 31-2 or whatever. I mean, we're not talking just 20 wins. I mean, they were winning 30 plus a few of those years. So looks like they're at it again. I think they're at the top of their conference. Last I checked, they had maybe one conference loss. Actually, University of Missouri St. Louis women playing pretty well as well, and Missouri S&T women also competing well in the GLVC right now. So really good in-state representation on the women's side of the GLVC.
And you mentioned Drury. I'm going to throw out a shout out to Lindenwood women. Women's basketball team. You had mentioned Drury. Drury's former coach, Amy Egan, is now the head coach at Lindenwood. And for lack of a better terms, that program was left for dead. They are currently 14-7 in her second year with the program, and she has really turned that program around. Like I said, 2 years ago, for lack of a better term, it was a dumpster fire, and she has done a great job of getting good talent in there. She's one heck of a coach, and she knows what it takes to build a program.
For sure, and had incredible success at Drury, obviously. We just referenced that. So, yeah, congrats to Coach Egan and her program there at Lindenwood, doing really good things. Next one I'm going to feature is the Columbia College women. They play at the NAIA level. They are 18-2, playing really, really well. They won their first 18. They have had a couple of losses here in a row as of late, but still, obviously a great season in the making for them, and doing really good things. I think I looked it up, and they were maybe 26-7 last year. So obviously some consistency within that program as well. Matt Moore is their coach. I'm not familiar with Matt, but apparently Coach Moore is doing some really good things at Columbia College as well. So, Darren, I'm going to turn it to you.
All right. Staying at the NAIA level, William Woods University men's basketball program currently sit 20-2. Their last 2 losses came in mid-November. They're currently on a 15-game winning streak, and I think at last I saw they're ranked nationally 14th at the NAIA level. So great things happening there, and they are on a roll.
Yeah. The last one I've sort of got targeted, and then I'll turn it to you. I don't know if you've got any others or not, and you're the one that actually referenced this one to me. But the Three Rivers Junior College women coming in at 19-2 on the year, so a really good start for them. And you and I have referenced this before, but that JUCO season is forever, right? I mean, they start in October and they play through March, and I mean they play a lot of basketball, so play a lot of games, and it's a rugged style of play at the junior college level. And so people that aren't super familiar with junior college style of basketball, it's not for the weak, men's or women's. So congratulations to the Three Rivers Junior College women on their 19-2 start.
Yeah, it's been a very good start to the season or start to the year for a lot of these colleges, and it's becoming crunch time, getting they're going to be finishing up conference play throughout this month, and then obviously conference tournaments, and then for hopefully several teams throughout the state, national tournaments at their respective levels. But we also have with turning to February, college baseball and softball will be starting up soon. Winter sports, wrestling is still going on. Indoor track and field continues to thrive. And like I said, as we get warmer, we'll start hitting those outside sports and start talking a little baseball, softball, track and field, and what have you.
Absolutely. Well, hey, and I didn't prompt you. I didn't cue you up on this one. So just coming at you off the cuff here. Before we get off the air, Super Bowl Sunday, I need a score from you from the Chiefs-Eagles game. Give me the winner and the score. Man, no pressure here.
I'm going to go Kansas City Chiefs, and the final score will be, man, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I should have prepped you for
28-21. I think the defense is going to shine. When you give both defenses 2 weeks to prepare, I think that I'm going to say Kansas City 28-21. What about you?
I too have the Chiefs until I think they're champions, till somebody can really come in and prove it. It's kind of what I said earlier in the show. I think a team's going to have to be 10 points better to get them by 3, kind of deal. I've got a low score in this one. I think with the combination of the Eagles trying to run it, I think that'll slow the game down a little bit. The Chiefs aren't super dynamic in the passing game. I mean, they're ball control in terms of what they do offensively. So I've got the Chiefs in this one, 20-17.
20-17
in a defensive-minded sort of game. So, hey, and we both may be wrong. Who knows? But,
hopefully, we're only wrong with the score prediction.
Absolutely, that is right. So, looking forward to it, though. Super Bowl is always a good time, and it's just the whole thing: commercials and the culture, and just the way people get into it, and the Chiefs fans. Just their commitment to their team is really cool. So should be a good weekend of football, and like you referenced, basketball's heading into the stretch run. Everybody's fighting for a postseason position, and so every game matters. Even though they all do, it seems like these take on a little different level of importance. So good luck to all of our Missouri colleges as they head into the stretch run here. Darren, I think I've taken it as far as I can take it tonight. Anything to add? And if not, maybe you can tell our viewers where they can find out more about our show and the Missouri Sports Network.
You bet. Nothing to add, but be sure to follow us at Missouri_sports and at DeRo _on deck on Twitter or X, whichever you prefer. Also follow us on Facebook at Missouri Sports Network, YouTube at the same location. Be sure to stop by w3.missourisportsnetwork.com for all of your college scores and updates.
Nicely done. Darren, it's been fun. Yeah, it's good to be back on the air with you. And so I think for now, I will bid our viewers farewell, and we will hopefully see them next week. I do want to extend a thank you to one of our partners, and I've mentioned her before, but it's the You Are Strong program by Angie Wiley. Angie partners with us and helps us bring this to our viewers. So, Angie, thanks to you for helping us out. On behalf of Eric DeRosset and Darren Archer, we are signing off this episode of On Deck with DeRo and Arch, and we will see you next week.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.